sold-out American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. It's the semifinals of the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament. Today, the 11th-ranked Texas Longhorns against the 15th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks. The winner takes on Oklahoma State tomorrow. Here's how the brackets shake out in the Big 12 tournament so far. Not a lot of upsets. Oklahoma State advances. Texas, Kansas. The winner will play the Cowboys tomorrow. Welcome back to Studio 66. Doug Bell alongside Chris Piper. This should be a lot of fun. The crowd seems like they're really into it. Brandon Mouton has come up big time and time again. Figures to be a key factor again today, Chris.
Well, he has been a guy that's been tough for Kansas to guard in the past. He's had big games for him. You know, he can put the ball on the floor and take it right at you. He also has the ability to shoot the ball from deep, and he has had good success against Kansas. Watch and see how Kansas can match up with him. Keith Langford did a nice job yesterday on Ricky Paulding. But for Kansas, nobody better than Wayne Simeon right now. 31 points yesterday against Missouri. He did it inside, he did it outside, finding spots. He's big and strong. He can finish for you. I have to watch how he is able to go back-to-back. Now, he has not been able to practice a lot this year with the groin injury. See how his fatigue sets in for him with that groin pull that he's been battling all season.
The Texas Longhorns ended the regular season with 2 losses. They fell behind against Oklahoma, but a spirited effort brought them back. For Kansas, it was one of their most impressive games of the season against Missouri.
Welcome to Big D, Dallas, Texas. It's our final semifinal of this Saturday in the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament. And a great matchup. 2 teams that tied for second place. The Jayhawks of Kansas and the Longhorns of Texas. Hi again, everyone. I'm Dave Armstrong along with Paul Splittorf. And Split, these 2 teams kind of going in different directions right now. Kansas is hot and Texas is not.
Texas would like to use this as a confidence builder. They got 3 of their better scorers that have had shooting slumps over their last 3 ball games. Royal Ivy has not shot it well. Brandon Mouton up until the last possession last night was struggling. Brian Boddicker, he'd like to have a shooting day. So even if Texas lose, they'd like to have a good offensive night here tonight.
One thing you know, Texas gets in a close game there, mighty tough. Let's check out the starting lineups for these 2 teams. And for Kansas, Simeon on a monster game last night, a career-high 31 points. He is joined by Graves, Langford, Giddens, and Miles. Tucker, Buckman, Klotz, Mouton, and Ivy are the starting 5 for the Texas Longhorns.
You take a look at the inside strength for these 2 teams. Mouton will get to the inside from out on the perimeter. 16 points, 6 rebounds last night in the quarterfinals. Wayne Simeon, huge night. Kansas went to him early against Missouri. He established the inside game. How about the double-double that he put up last night against the Tigers?
His 20th double-double of his career. And with those 31 points, 11 rebounds, he had a fantastic night. And Brandon Mouton, who scored 16 points and had 6 rebounds against Oklahoma. Mouton came up huge at the end of that game, Split. He really was the difference maker in their 3-point win.
He is the kind of player that will put a bad shooting night behind him with the ball game on the line. He still wants it in his hand. They have had a lot of close ball games throughout the course of this season. Royal Ivy has been big late for Texas. Brandon Mouton, same kind of weight on his shoulders on the offensive end. Texas is talented as any team in this league. They are also the deepest team in the league. Right now, they have not played as well over the last few ball games as they did in midseason. Jason Klotz in the starting lineup now for the Longhorns. His offense has propelled him into getting the start here for UT.
Bill Self, good first year. 21 wins in his first year and 228 already in his fine young career. Hasn't beaten Texas, though, after going 6-0 against the Missouri Tigers. Rick Barnes, 2-4 against Kansas, including a win earlier this year in Austin. That's when they were able to beat the Jayhawks 82-67. So Kansas in their blue uniforms, Texas in white. We're all set to go. The Jayhawks with the ball.
Kansas got off to a slow start last night against Missouri. They found themselves trailing on the scoreboard, but picked up the tempo. Firing on all cylinders. Nice, comfortable win for KU here last night as they meet Missouri for the 3rd time this year.
Wayne Simeon, not just 31 points last night, Split, but 12 of 14, and he hits his first shot here today.
And when he was not scoring points, he was setting up guys on the offensive end. He was attracting a lot of attention. Kansas loves to go to that high-low look.
Buckman can't hit. Rebound comes out to Simeon. Bounce pass up ahead to Langford. And Buckman bothered him just enough to make him miss.
Good hustle by Buckman to get back. Big guy, not the quickest player on the team, but working hard here today.
And a block by Graves.
Kansas has gotten the best of this battle over the last couple of years with some of the most exciting games to be played in conference play, but Texas turned the table in midseason this year, knocking off the Jayhawks in Austin.
No slow start here this afternoon. Langford with a three.
Texas flat in their last regular season game at Kansas State were knocked off by the Wildcats. Flat at the start of last night. Oklahoma came out on fire. Texas able to bail it out late. Graves got 2 early fouls last night for the Jayhawks. Had to spend a lot of time in the first half on the bench.
Simeon again. He can't miss.
Simeon will be a tough matchup inside for Texas because of his upper body strength. Klotz is out there, good offensive player, tall and more lean than Simeon. Simeon will have all kinds of leverage on the bigger players up front for UT.
Split, you mentioned Graves. And 2 quick fouls last night. Jayhawks look at it as a good sign that he didn't foul out until there were 2.5 minutes remaining.
And those last 2 calls that he got, not happy about that. He thought he had good solid defensive position, but still drew the whistle.
Klotz, and so far 0 for the game for the Longhorns. They're 0 for 3. Jayhawks trying to take over. Langford fakes the 3.
Dave, you talk about teams playing well, so much of it comes down to shooting. The 3 3-point shooters that KU has have all shot better in conference play than they have overall in the season, an indication that they're shooting well recently.
Tough start for the Longhorns. Royale Ivy loses the handle. And the second turnover for the Longhorns.
Wayne Simeon working on the low blocks. He's also expanding his game to where he can step out a little bit farther on the floor, but that's where he wants the ball to start with. A fadeaway jumper right there. He knocked it down from 8 feet.
If they don't come with double team help real quick on Simeon's split, it's going to be a long day for the Longhorns as far as Simeon is concerned. 12 of 14 last night, 2 of 2 here this afternoon.
With one-on-one play, Simeon will be able to get his shot anytime he wants it.
Nice lob up over traffic, and Simeon misses a chip shot.
Texas off to the slow start, a little bit fortunate in the fact that Jayhawks have missed on a couple cripples already here today.
Buckman from the wing, and the first shot to go down for the Longhorns. So Texas can breathe a little bit easier. They're finally on the scoreboard.
He has had 1 point total in the last 3 conference games coming into postseason play. So Buckman hasn't scored much recently for the Horns.
Simeon now missing 2 in a row, and a reach-in foul on Langford. So Keith Langford, who grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, so he's back home again. Langford 10 points, 10 assists last night against the Missouri Tigers in a very good win for KU. They won 94-69, beating Missouri 3 times this season.
Langford, big-time defensive responsibilities here this afternoon. He's matched up on the near wing, although KU in his own right now, but Brandon Mouton will be his primary target defensively.
Good rebound by Giddens.
Giddens really played well last night for KU against the Tigers.
Wow, what a 3 by J.R. Giddens.
And he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. First year in the Jayhawk program. Kind of developed into a jump shot shooter. He'll be a lot more than that over the next couple of years, but he might be as good an athlete as Kansas has on the floor.
And Graves stepping out, going for the steal. And a whistle, and I think we have a foul on Thomas. We do.
Kansas in transition. Giddens comes down as the trailer fans out behind the 3 line. Just absolutely buried his first shot of the day.
So J.R. Giddens, who hit a big 3 last night that gave Kansas a lead. They responded then with a 17-4 run against Missouri. And you see Giddens, his numbers, but they belie what he has done lately. 17 times in double figures for Giddens. And a foul as Langford is fouled by P.J. Tucker. Jeff Graves limped off the court, and they're looking at him.
That final play that he was involved on is when he was knocked to the floor, fouled by James Thomas in an attempt to save that ball from going out of bounds.
So looking at the knee a little bit and putting a little bit of pressure on it to see if that'll alleviate some of the pain. Langford missing the first of 2 free throws. Keith Langford today needing Just 16 points. He's moving up that scoring chart. Could move up to 20th today.
Finished 6th in the conference in scoring this year. Langford, the talented lefty.
Well, last night, a slow start for Kansas. Tonight, nothing slow about the Jayhawks. They're off to a 9-point lead, and we're back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. And he has the deepest bench in the conference by far.
Well, he has the deepest bench, but that bench, the depth has to play well for you. If it does not play well, it simply becomes a burden because you try to balance out your minutes. You see the slow start for Texas in this ball game. 1 of 6 from the floor. Kansas 4 of 7. Klotz had a start in the ball game. He's on the bench. Kenny Taylor out there now for Texas, along with Paulino now out at point guard.
One of the things that depth does for the Longhorns is it allows them to play different styles of basketball. They can go large, they can go small, they can go quick, they can be plotting. They can kind of do whatever you want to do. Taylor tries one from the wing, and that won't go. And Texas, very sluggish, 1 for 7 from the field.
And Texas really needed that depth last night against Oklahoma because they were trying to make it a frantic pace, pressing all over the floor. That's where you need your depth when you have to expend so much energy on the defensive end. They needed everything that they had here last night, and that come from behind Wynn.
James Thomas, nice defensive play to step in front of that pass. Thomas only played 10 minutes in yesterday's game against the Sooners.
And he's out on the floor right now against David Padgett, the first-year player for Kansas. Thomas may want to go to the low blocks against Padgett.
Three-pointer no good for Kenton Paulino, and the rebound to Langford.
Kansas needs to use this to their advantage to see if they can run away from the Longhorns. Kansas still with 4 of the 5 of their starters on the floor right now.
Miles gets it to ring home.
There's one advantage that Kansas has over Texas. It would be at the point guard position. Aaron Miles among the top 2 point guards in this league, and right now it looks like Texas might still be looking for a consistent point guard.
The other one, of course, John Lucas, who had a good game earlier today against Texas Tech.
Aaron Miles strong on the offensive end. He takes one to the glass. He wants to be aggressive defensively. Put the heat on Paulino out front. A little touch foul out front if you're a KU fan. Well, Ivey has spent some time at the point guard position this year for Texas. Kenny Taylor on the perimeter matches up with Michael Lee.
Taylor for 3. Boy, the threes aren't going. They're 0 for 4 now from three-point range, the Longhorns. Miles pushing it down court.
And Kenny Taylor was just 3 of 12 field goals last weekend at Kansas State. He wants to have a good shooting day today.
Graves just lost the handle. Boddicker, he can shoot out there. Paulino. Another 3. That one's short. Moreno, that one's short.
And Dave,
rebound to Padgett.
The problem when you're taking a lot of threes, you won't ever get to the free throw line. That's another way to break a drought. Put the ball on the floor, get it to the glass, either shoot layups or free throws. The three-point effort will not draw any whistles from the officials.
Graves wanting a foul on that call. He will not get it. 1 for 11, the Longhorns.
Well, Ivey is the kind of guy that can create something on the drive.
And he does. Good call.
The good thing about that, again, you're shooting the mid-range shot, the runner, or possibly a laid-up if you can get it to the front edge of the rim, or you're going to get chopped on your way, which is going to put you on the free throw line.
Giddens fouled by Boddicker. Take a moment to thank our Big 12 corporate partner, 7-Up, and your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours.
J.R. Giddens, 2 shots.
Giddens pure on his first free throw. Giddens, he has hit now 8 of his last 12 three-pointers.
He is a guy that can light it up when he gets on a roll. Earlier this year, he hit 7 in one game against Iowa State.
Giddens split he has a chance to break Jeff Bosche's freshman record for most three-pointers in a season. Boschee had 79 one year. Giddens already was 64.
Giddens a whole lot more athletic than Boschee. Now Boschee a solid player, better from the perimeter than he was on the drive. I think Giddens is going to be a different type player before his collegiate days are over.
Brian Boddicker, big three there to help bring Texas back a little bit. They're at least within striking range now. Giddens, long three that's short. Klotz races up the court. Texas running now with Kansas.
And Dave, one thing that depth does do for you is it allows your players that are on the floor to play all out because they know that there's somebody on the bench to pick them up. They don't have to pace themselves for the rest of the ball game. Big guys can get out and run the floor like Klotz just did.
It's more like a hockey rotation, isn't it? Go out there and play your 2 minutes of ice time and then climb back over the boards. Three-pointer for Michael Lee.
Michael Lee, one of those three-point shooters for Kansas that shot better in conference play. 31% from long range on the season, 36% in conference. Usually those numbers go down because of the tighter defense.
Klotz, a nice little running hook.
Klotz has come alive offensively for Texas, and that pass break got it going. He has given them more offense from that 5 position than anybody else on the roster of UT.
Graves backs up, banks it home. Jeff Graves showing a little range.
He's got a pretty good ball game if he can just stay out of foul trouble.
Royale Ivy answers. Looks like Texas wants to push the tempo.
And Bill Self upset with the Kansas defense. He's been frustrated by that defense all season long. Kansas not be able to get the kind of stops that he wants them to have. He wants them to be a more rugged basketball team than what they've been.
Turnover for Michael Lee, and we've got a timeout. So Kansas led by 11, but Texas trying to klotz their way back in this thing. They're within 7 at the 11:02 mark. Finally something to cheer and smile about. They have hit their last 5 shots to pull within 7. Phillips 66, proud to be the presenting sponsor of Big 12 basketball. Be sure to stop by your local Phillips 66 station and fill up with quality Proclaim gasoline. Only from Phillips 66, the performance brand. So the Longhorns start off 1 for 11, and look what they've done since. That's why they're within 7. So Mouton going back to work now for Texas. Royale Ivy, a big part of the comeback as well.
Yeah, he got it going with that drive to the basket and in transition, and even with that last 5 of 5 being made from the floor, Texas still just shooting 38%.
Take a while to get back up after you start 1 for 11.
Kansas out in defense now. They're going to pack it inside.
Buckman, that was way short. In fact, an air ball. Ivy comes out of the pack. Edgar Moreno can't get it to go, but Buckman was there for the follow.
Quick on the drive. Moreno came into that ball game late last night for Texas, putting a little more speed out in the front court, trying to deny defensively, created some steals. He's on the floor early this afternoon, try to give the Horns some more energy.
That's right. He was there to try to stop Drew Lavender, and he did. He caused Lavender to turn it over in the closing seconds yesterday. Simeon, triple team. And 3 seconds in the lane.
Simeon got off to a good start early this afternoon, then to the bench. They needed to get him an early touch when he got back out on the hardwood. There's the drive, the athletic move, working it inside.
Buckman, that's where he'll get a lot of his points, Clint, just by crashing the offensive boards.
And he needs to continue to crash that boards. He's a guy that likes that mid-range shot, but Texas trying to get him to be more active on the low block, much like James Thomas gives the Horns.
Mouton had to change his shot, but was losing the handle on his way up. Pageant showing his range.
Pageant has the range. The day he walked on campus, he had good shooting range, especially when you take a look at his size. He brings it in there at 6'11". He'll be a fine outside shooter before his days are over at KU.
Moreno, no. Simeon.
Moreno has not been shy with his efforts here early on in his playing time.
You say every time Moreno gets on the team bus, coach says, "How you doing, Edgar?" And he says, "I'll be ready. You call on me, I'm ready to go."
That's the attitude of the backup players. They don't know when their time is going to come. So you have to let your coach know you're going to be ready.
Boddicker with a rebound and then shoved out of bounds. Simeon picks up the first foul for Wayne Simeon.
One of the surprising things about Wayne Simeon is his ability to stay out of foul trouble on most nights, because most of his work is that blue collar work inside, both offensively and defensively, and the position that he plays kind of lends itself to getting in foul trouble. But for the most part, Simeon's done a good job of avoiding it.
And a lot of times Coach Self will protect him by not making him guard the opposing team's big guy inside, the one that scores the most.
Jeff Graves, on the other hand, seems to get himself in a whole lot of foul trouble, even though he plays basically that same position.
And it's like last night's a good example. They put Graves on Arthur Johnson instead of having Simeon go on Johnson, and Simeon picking up those fouls.
Well, the thing that Simeon has been able to do is stay away from the fouls that are unneeded. He'll pick up the fouls doing the work on the glass and defensively, but don't pick up the foul out there on the floor. Did a good job of getting into the passing lane, rush him a little bit, but don't hack the shooter.
Boddicker can't find the range from three-point land.
Good battle inside now. Thomas back on the floor working against Simeon.
Another turnover for the Jayhawks.
Christian Moody in for Jayhawks.
All of a sudden, Texas has gone ice cold again as they come back out. I want to thank our Big 12 corporate partner, Cooper Tire. Proud to be the official tire of the Big 12. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing. Now, Texas, we talked about them. Look at 7 turnovers. They had 10 in the first half last night, then only 2 in the second half. And 7 turnovers to start this game. Three-pointer good from Brandon Mouton.
Texas would love to see him have a good shooting day, a confidence builder headed into the next round of tournament play. Brandon Mouton certainly capable for Texas.
Mouton able to poke that one out of bounds, and we've got another timeout. So Mouton, who always seems to come up big when the Longhorns need him most, Mouton hits a 3, and Kansas trying to stay ahead of Texas. Right now they are, but only by 4. Kansas came out cheering, smoking, in fact, leading by 11. But right now that lead down to 4. And you look at field goal split. Both teams have hit 8 shots. Texas, though, has taken 9 more shots and obviously a lot less efficient.
And Texas has been in 3 stretches already, 2 of them bad stretches and 1 hot stretch where they hit the 5 straight as they tried to work their way back into this one. Texas wants to be more consistent in what they've been over the last 10 days.
Longhorns 8-7 in Big 12 tournament play. 8 of the 15 games they have played, though, have been decided by 6 points or less. The Jayhawks, meanwhile, 15-4 in the Big 12 tournament, including 3 championships, 3 tournament titles, the first 3 years of the Big 12. Christian Moody now in for the Jayhawks.
Christian Moody has given the Jayhawks valuable minutes. Now, he's a walk-on, but he has worked his way into the rotation at the front end of the ball game when Kansas late in the half wants to get an extra frontline player on the floor. I figure if he's going to play late, he needs to play early as well. Moody has done a solid job.
J.R. Giddens moved inside the three-point line for another bucket. Thomas trying to run the court. Throws it back out to Ivy. That was halfway down for Ivy and back out again. And a whistle and a holding call on Moody. Christian Moody, who came to Kansas because he's from Asheville, North Carolina. He said, well, what's the connection there? That's where Roy Williams was born and raised. And so Moody comes to play for Roy Williams, and then Roy leaves after his freshman year. And you ask Moody, did you ever think about leaving along with Roy? And he said, never for a moment. Loved the University of Kansas.
Well, the first thing that Bill Self did when he got on campus is he went out and he visited the recruits and their families. And he told the guys that were already in the program, he says, hey, it's not that they're more important than you are. You know, you're on campus. We want to make sure we cover that. You guys are equally as important, if not more important. There were just first things that he needed to do. It didn't take him but a couple weeks to get with every player and their family to talk about the program and the direction he wanted to take.
He earned 5 tickets and frequent flyer miles in about 6 weeks.
There's so much work to be done, and Kansas made their selection in a big hurry. They didn't string it out very long.
Jayhawks, you'll remember, had to make a couple of decisions quickly after they went to the Final Four. Athletic director and coach. And in my opinion, hit a home run with both of them. Lou Perkins, new athletic director. Bill Self, new coach. Order restored at KU.
Kansas happy that they are able to get a Midwest guy and put him into their program. Of course, Bill Self grew up in Oklahoma, played basketball at Oklahoma State.
For Mr. Sutton. Actually, not for Mr. Sutton, but coached with Mr. Sutton and played before Eddie was the coach at Oklahoma State.
Team foul number 5.
Texas will give you the outside inside look. If James Thomas touches the basketball, it's going to be there on the low blocks. That looks like it could be a good battle all afternoon with Simeon matched up.
Texas made some good adjustments here after that sluggish start, and they are inching closer and closer to KU. And a reversal of fortunes for the Jayhawks for what they experienced last night when they were down 12 to Missouri, and then for the last 30 minutes of the game really dominated, including shooting 69% in the second half with 59 points against the Tigers.
And Thomas played well against KU earlier this year. He had 9 points on a half a dozen rebounds.
Miles comes in to take it away, and then he's fouled at midcourt by Ivy.
The thing that Aaron Miles is able to do as the point guard for Kansas, he keeps the drive going. Everybody steps up like Royale Ivy did right there, try to flatten him out, get him going side to side, but he is so good at pushing the basketball. Stay with the pressure, keep it on, try to run that break.
Aaron Miles, who over 200 assists again this year, and a man that is closing in quickly on Jacques Vaughn's all-time assist record. He'll break it sometime in December next year.
Well, he was first in the league in assists this season, but off to a terrific start in conference play. 9-10 assists a ball game was not out of his range.
Langford trying to muscle inside. There's a lot of tall towers in there. Now Giddens, nice little fadeaway, but can't get it to go. Thomas tracks it down and throws it away. James Thomas frustrated with his own play there. That was good news, bad news for Thomas.
It's going to be difficult to outwork James Thomas. That time everybody ran away from him looking to get out on the break. They knew that he would be able to control their rebound. Had the receiver a little too far, it rolled out of bounds.
Miles, and he's fouled. So Miles will go to the line. The foul on James Thomas.
James Thomas is second.
When you look at what Miles will do, and Thomas trying to come in for some weak side help, when you look at Aaron Miles' split and you think of all the great guards Kansas has had in their wonderful history, and the fact that he is going to break the assist record by maybe as much as 150 to 200 assists, that's absolutely remarkable.
Well, one of the things that really helped him over the last couple of years when Roy Williams was there, of course, they had some devastating losses in the postseason. And he said, how do I adjust what we are doing? And what Roy Williams came up with, we'll play faster. Well, clearly you've got to have some great athletes out there, and he had a couple teams that were the fastest he's ever had at all 5 positions, and Aaron Miles was the guy that ran those teams. So over his career, those 3 years, they had more possessions than probably any other Kansas point guard. So he had at least that working for him. But oh man, he has been terrific in handing out the assists.
And you know what? He picked up an assist before he ever got to Kansas. He brought his buddy Michael Lee along with him from high school.
And a different kind of guard, a guy who can step out, shoot the three-point shot. He's more of a number 2 guard. Aaron Miles is the point guy.
Klotz fouled on the play. He'll go to the line. So Jason Klotz will go to the line. Klotz, a guy who was not happy with his role earlier in the season. So he had a sit-down chat with Rick Barnes, and Barnes said, you know what, I think you're right. You do need some more playing time, and he has responded in a big way.
Well, he has averaged about 8.5 points over their last 14 games, and he is the guy that has given them offensive consistency at his position.
Take a moment to thank one of our Big 12 corporate partners, Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, it's in college basketball. Is it in you? Klotz 13 points, 4 rebounds yesterday against Oklahoma. 3-point win for the Longhorns. They have won 5 straight games now against the Sooners, and it's the first time a Texas team has ever won 3 games in 1 year against Oklahoma.
There was the last 3 years that nobody beat Oklahoma in this tournament.
Another turnover for KU. That is their 8th of the first half.
The Texas press turned the ball game around last night against Oklahoma, so they break it up early here this afternoon. Taylor, you don't want to give him a lot of room out behind that 3-point line.
Ivy, Klotz.
Klotz is a tireless worker inside. He loves the offensive end.
Boy, the big guys for Texas now having their way with a smaller lineup for Kansas. Padgett, though, he's able to hit a long 2. That was a 2-pointer from David Padgett.
And Padgett not afraid to take that shot, even though it's long range early in the possession.
Boddicker, you can see Texas knowing that they've got Moody and Padgett in there defensively for Kansas split, and they're taking it inside, but Padgett holds his ground that time.
Holds his ground, did a super job of keeping his position. Watch his hands straight up in the air. He's just sliding along with Buckman right there. Any kind of contact was with the body, and he was never pushing. Kept the hands straight up in the air, no contact, no whistle. KU ball.
Simeon sitting on that bench with 2 fouls. Padgett a little short. I mean the shot, not himself. He's actually pretty tall. Paulino, no. I'm a little confused why Texas wants to settle for these long-range shots.
Yeah, Kansas not very strong up front now with their personnel, with both Graves and Padgett on the bench.
Whistle, and the ball was out of bounds. It'll come back to Texas when we return. Simeon a cheerleader right now, and Kansas leading by 4. We're back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Is leading by 4 right now, but Texas noticing maybe an Achilles heel at Jayhawks right now with Simeon and Graves on the bench. They're pounded it inside.
Pounded it inside. Texas still not shooting a very good percentage, 36% in the ball game, and just 2 of 9 from 3-point range. But they've got bigger, stronger people up front right now, and Christian Moody and David Padgett still on the floor for the Jayhawks. So I think you look for Texas while they're struggling from the mid-range and long-range area. Might want to go inside and go inside strong.
Especially when they're 2 for 9 from 3-point range. And right out of the break, Taylor settles for a long 2.
Boddicker on the floor. He's comfortable on the perimeter.
Padgett with a foul. Klotz will go back to the line.
Padgett really had a tough time in the ballgame last night against the seniors from Missouri. Trayvon Bryant, Arthur Johnson. Good experience for the first-year player playing against those upperclassmen in the low blocks.
Klotz off to a fine start here today. Kind of a 10, maybe 11-man rotation for the Longhorns. Klotz and Thomas kind of splitting time, but now Rick Barnes has given Klotz a little bit more playing time than his senior James Thomas.
James Thomas was just starting to get healthy. Had problems with the back all season long. He was rounded into shape, but not giving them a whole lot of offense.
You know, normally I'm not a huge fan, I don't think many people are, of a lot of depth, 10, 11 guys playing. But it works for Texas, and it works because of so many different ways that they can play. You know, Padgett reaching up over the back of P.J. Tucker at position. And a foul on David Padgett.
P.J. Tucker will get a lot done for the Longhorns because of his upper body strength. Now, he's undersized at his position. He plays the power forward many times for the Longhorns. Talented freshman he is, 6'5", and 225 pounds. All kinds of strength inside.
And now more strength with Graves coming in. Padgett sitting down. And P.J. Tucker will go to the line. You would think P.J. would stand for like Paul Joseph or something.
Junior. Paul Jr.
It's Pop Jr. It's actually a nickname. His real name is Anthony Leon Jr. Lee can't get it to go. Was it tipped by Kansas? They say it was, and it'll stay with Texas.
Texas quickly getting to the offensive end, and Royale Ivy pushing it up the floor. Big guy's able to get out and run the floor for Texas as well.
So they're not just big, but they're quick.
Should be a little more difficult to get inside now for the Longhorns with Graves on the floor.
Boddicker. That three heels out no good.
And Boddicker continues to struggle from long range. He has hit just one of his last 8 from behind that line over the last 3 ball games for Texas.
Lee. That won't go. Kansas going a little bit cold right now. During the closing moments of the first half. 3-point contest. Kenny Taylor. Well, if he hits one, he might hit 8. KU takes a timeout. So from an 11-point deficit, Kenny Taylor able to tie it at 28 at the 2:20 mark.
This ESPN Plus game is brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Phillips 66, proud sponsor of the 2004 Phillips 66 Big 12 basketball tournament. You can count on Phillips 66 quality Pro Clean gasolines. GMC, we are professional grade. Sonic, it's not just good, it's Sonic good. Guinness Draft Stout, enjoyed responsibly the world over.
Well, Kansas off to that scintillating start, but they've been cooled considerably. The Jayhawks split down to 43% shooting. And Kenny Taylor with 3. Only 3 for 11, the Longhorns from 3-point range. But they're able to tie it on that 3-pointer.
That kind of sends a signal from Texas to Kansas. Says, hey, we are all the way back now. So whatever happened before in this ball game, slow start for UT, hot start for Kansas, has been washed away. Shortens the ball game for both teams.
And Bill Self trying to shorten it a little bit with Wayne Simeon with 2 fouls. Doesn't want to play him this half, hoping to tread water, Coach Self, as he gets into halftime. If he can get into halftime only a couple points down or maybe a couple of points ahead, he'll feel like he kind of won the first half with Simeon sitting so long.
And with that in mind, he needs to get something on the offensive end out of Jeff Graves. Now, he is capable, and they need to have that presence on the low blocks. Kansas does not want to get in position where all their points are going to have to come from the perimeter. Don't look for any offense out of Moody.
Good movement of the ball by the Jayhawks. Boy, they really swung the ball well, and then the foul inside. Graves, good position, as you just mentioned, split on that low post.
Well, Kansas knows they have to look for him on the inside. Kansas loves to run that high-low look, and Graves more suited for the work on the low blocks.
Time for our GMC professional grade player profile. You want to read the list of names from the Jayhawks? My goodness, that's quite a list. And then TJ Ford and Chris Mim, a couple of first-round picks from Texas.
This is developing one of the really fine matchups in this conference, put together in the '97 season. You could kind of see this building over a period of time. When Rick Barnes got to Texas, he's now in his 6th year. You knew he was going to build something really strong in Austin. This has got a chance to be a classic matchup for years to come.
Absolutely. Longhorns have had a first-round bye in every year that Coach Barnes has been coaching Texas. First-round bye, I mean, in the Big 12 tournament. P.J. Tucker, no. Mouton. And he's fouled. And Texas takes their first lead of the day.
And how about the balance the Longhorns can put on you on that front line? P.J. Tucker working one side of the basket, Brandon Mouton on the other side. Tucker with the baby hook. It's too long. Here comes Mouton. He just snatches that one out of the sky. Got 2 points and a free throw. Tucker likes to play with his back to the basket. I mentioned undersized at his position, but strong enough to create shots. And here's Mouton.
Texas with a 2-point advantage.
And that's a couple of 6'4" and 6'5" guys really doing a solid job for Rick Barnes.
Trap on Miles, trying to get the ball back. Texas knocks it out of bounds. Boy, they almost had Miles trapped.
Kansas should have gotten a good look at that press here last night that Texas strapped on Oklahoma. They love to get you along the sideline if they can. way you break this is try to get the ball in the middle of the floor, but they do such a nice job of sagging from the weak side.
Nice spin move by Graves to retie the contest.
And Kansas likes to set it up that way. Moody either out high and along the lane or out on the wing, setting up Graves along the side of the lane.
Mouton, no. Tipped home, though. Buckman does the job again.
Texas runs at you with so many numbers. Seems like at times they're playing with 7 or 8 guys on the floor.
Woo! Langford. Miles with a steal. He just kind of ran right toward Ivy and almost forced the contact.
Well, he wants to use his body to seal off the defender. But you talk about the athleticism. Check out the drive by Langford, the strong finish right there. Aaron Miles so quick with his hands, Dave, on that steal. Did you notice how close to the floor he was? He knows that they're going to try to go crossover dribble. He knows Taylor. He's been in the league for the last several years. Once you get your hands on the basketball, it's quickly to the opposite end. But defensive position and footwork so important, but also those hands. Get it in there where the ball handler wants to handle the basketball on the crossover.
Miles, though, can't convert at the free throw line. See what he did in the quarterfinals against the Tigers. By the way, those 6 assists, he did not have a turnover. So Bill Self, who has had to manage the first half for the most part without Wayne Simeon. Coming up at halftime, we've got Doug Bell and Chris Piper for you in our Studio 66. And, of course, they're going to have all the highlights of Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. In case you missed it, Oklahoma State able to win 82-77. Plus highlights from Conference USA, the Big Ten, and the SEC. And Texas, good comeback for the Longhorns in this first half. 33-33. Kansas, that early lead, but you kind of thought it was a little paper thin because of the fact that Texas started off so cold. Here are the brackets today. Oklahoma State moving on as they beat Texas Tech. Oklahoma State got to the semifinals by beating Iowa State. Texas, they got here by beating Oklahoma. Kansas got here by beating Missouri. And the winner of this one will face the Cowboys tomorrow in the championship.
No major upsets in this conference tournament this weekend so far.
Miles misses both free throws. So Texas can go for the last shot and have the lead as they go to the locker room.
And they've been very happy with that when they were down by 11 early on in today's contest. Good matchup there. Mouton against Langford.
Watts is fouled with .7 on the clock. Moulin with the foul.
Team foul number 10.
Graves strong enough. He wants to be able to control that rebound when it comes off to his side. He had the inside rebounding position. Couldn't pull it in.
Watts down 3 of 5 from the line today. And 9 first half points.
Well, just maybe fortunate that Graves did not draw that foul. That would have been his second.
I think when you saw Coach Self's reaction, that was his greatest fear, that Graves had picked up the foul there. And they gave it to Moulin. And the first half comes to a close. So Texas able to wiggle off the hook in that first half. Klotz and company able to come back for the Longhorns. They were down by 11, but Bill Self's team a little bit frustrated as they go to the locker room. A big three-pointer here for Kenny Taylor to give Texas the lead, and they have it by 2 at halftime. Today. So Texas with the ball to start the second half of play. Who will play Oklahoma State? That's to be decided. I think one other thing might be up for grabs when you look at bracketology. Who will play at Kemper Arena in Kansas City in the first rounds of the NCAA tournament? That also may be up for grabs since both of these teams projected as 4 or 5 seeds.
Well, Oklahoma State wants to come to Kansas City. You know that Kansas would like to make the short trip over to Kemper Arena. Texas would either look at Kansas City, possibly Denver. I think sometimes that is overlooked a little bit. They're always talking about, well, the matchups, where are you going to be seated? That's a lot of prestige, but I think the site is so important. First half stats, you take a look at the field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, even free throws, everybody doing the same thing there. Big numbers for Texas on the boards, and they've really gotten it done on the offensive end. They have 12 offensive rebounds. They've absolutely killed KU on their defensive glass.
Big development here in the first moments of this second half split. Wayne Simeon was whistled for that foul. He has 3, and Buckman able to go out and show some range. Well, and Texas with their biggest lead.
And Buckman has been able to step out from time to time this year with the range. We might have jinxed Wayne Simeon a little bit, mentioned in the first half. On most nights, he's able to stay out of foul trouble, but dealing with some of that here.
Only 10 minutes in the first half for Simeon. Only 4 points after hitting 17 in the first half yesterday. Scramble for the ball. There's a tie up. The arrow will give it to Kansas.
Bill Self very concerned about the rebounding capabilities of Texas, so he starts both Simeon and Graves to open here in the second half.
And when Simeon picked up that quick third, he didn't immediately take him out of the game either.
Simeon, a pretty heads-up player, good understanding of the game and what he'll need to do. What he needs to be aware of is Texas will probably attack him when he gets down to his defensive end.
Whistle on a foul. And that one before the shot. And that foul is on Kenton Paulino, trying to keep Aaron Miles out of the paint. Paulino last year as a freshman, his job for the most part was trying to corral TJ Ford in practice. And a lot of the guys said, hey, Paulino, who has actually added about 40 pounds of weight, he came in at 147 pounds. He said Paulino used to give TJ Ford fits.
Wasn't any other coach in the league that was able to give TJ Ford fits with his player.
Well, officials can't decide which way the ball should go, so they're going to go to the arrow to decide, and this will give it to Texas.
You don't see that call very often. We'll get a chance to take a look at it again. The officials conferred. Nobody really is able to take charge on that one. Of course, both teams setting up, pointing to their direction.
Klotz bottled up. Buckman, though, another second chance for Texas, and now a whistle and a foul. This one on Royale Ivy.
And Texas got a great look because of the double team that Klotz draws. And Buckman doing a good job of working the opposite side. Had a good look.
Boy, Texas really crashing the offensive glass. They had 12 offensive rebounds in the first half.
Good matchup on the floor right there. Langford with the ball, Tucker on him. I'm sure Kansas wants to look inside with both the big guys on the floor. They love to work the high-low look.
Foul on Mouton.
And interesting looking at the first half stats, Dave. Usually the bench scoring favors Rick Barnes' team. He is such a deep team, but the bench points even. 7 KU, 7 Texas. Kansas not one of the deeper benches in this league.
Langford creates his own space.
And Strong driving to his left side. He likes to take it into the lane. Great elevation. Nice soft touch when he reaches the top of his jump.
Seems to have a good knack, too, Split, as to when to pull up and when to continue to drive toward the basket.
Well, he's also one of those players he can shoot quickly, because if he gets into traffic where he's working against bigger people, he'll shoot this ball on his way up. This one here, he shoots at the top of his jump. He's able to get up over Tucker to get that shot off.
Simeon with a rebound off a three-point miss. Miles lobbing it inside. Graves is fouled. Mouton picks up the foul. That'll be the second on him.
Well, Graves did a nice job of sealing off the defender and made himself available to the guard, but Miles also in position to pick it up. He saw the setup of Graves and got him the basketball.
Already 14 fouls on the Longhorns this half. Jeff Graves now over his season average. Take a moment to thank our Big 12 corporate partner, Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Graves family making the drive from the Kansas City area to watch their son and brother.
Robbie Graves played at UMKC.
Can't hit a chip shot. The ball goes out of bounds. P.J. Tucker lost the handle. And Kansas will come back on the attack. In a tie ball game, 17 minutes to decide second place in the Big 12 and to see who will take on Oklahoma State in tomorrow's championship final.
Aaron Miles pulling his jersey, setting up the offense that Kansas wants to get in. It was actually Bill Self that is directing from the sideline. And Simeon hasn't gotten any touches here early on in the second half.
Buckman trying to keep him out of the paint, and Simeon draws the contact. Buckman with the foul, and fouls starting to add up on Texas. 5 this half for the Longhorns.
Well, remember, they've got all kinds of depth, and they've got it where they need it at those low post positions. And Simeon working hard, trying to make himself available to the guards.
So Klotz and Buckman come out, and 2 other big guys come in, Boddicker and Thomas. And Graves, nice lob in from Miles.
Go ahead and attack the 2 guys that came off the bench that might come out there and think, well, got a couple minutes to warm up before we really get involved. But Kansas went right after them.
Mouton, long 3. That won't go, but the long rebound to Boddicker. Now Paulino for 3. Simeon. J.R. Giddens, no. Graves almost with a foul over the back of Boddicker.
Giddens took that shot even though there were no blue jerseys in the neighborhood to get a potential rebound.
Graves limping somewhat. Tucker, nice feed inside.
Remember, Graves banged a knee earlier in the ballgame. They tended to it the first time that he left the floor today.
Langford a 3, no. Rebound Langford though. Somehow able to keep his balance.
Second chance opportunities favored Texas in the first half. Kansas looking to try to change that here in the second.
Langford baseline is fouled. Is that Mouton? It is Mouton with 3 fouls all this half.
Team foul number 6.
You take this risk when you have one of your top scorers defending a terrific athlete on the other end of the floor.
2 shots.
So Langford will go to the line. Mouton with 3 and Texas with 6. So the Jayhawks are going to be shooting a lot of free throws this half split.
Kansas among the top 4 teams in the league from the charity stripe this year, just a high side of 70%.
One of the big reasons their big guys shoot the ball well. Simeon probably their best free throw shooter.
Well, of the guys that play, everybody shoots them pretty well with the exception of J.R. Giddens. He's right at 60%, and Jeff Graves just under 60%.
Now explain that to me. Giddens is their best three-point shooter and one of their worst free throw shooters.
Well, he likes to shoot it on the run.
Maybe you got to do a jump shot from the free throw line.
Yeah, but you got to stay in that circle. Kansas now in his zone defense. Matchup. Working out of a 2-3 and a deep 3 from Taylor.
Woo, real deep. What a shot by Taylor.
Taylor is a pure shooter. That's why Texas was thrilled to get him. Bring him in for his final year. Didn't have to sit out a year after the transfer.
All 3 of those transfers from Baylor split have had an impact for their respective teams.
And Lawrence Roberts twisted his ankle yesterday at Mississippi State. Everybody wonders about his availability for the tournament next week. And all 3 of those guys playing on teams that could be playing a long time in the NCAA.
Good hustle by Langford. Tucker knocks it out of bounds. So Texas with a 2-point lead, but Langford with a hustle. Kansas will have the ball when we come back. But Kenny Taylor showing his range, giving the Longhorns the 2-point advantage. 2-point advantage at the 14:41 mark. Shooting the Rock brought to you by Rock Green Light, a low-carb premium light lager with only 2.4 grams of carbs. Look at how many more shots Texas has taken in this game, and most of that offensive rebounding.
Well, Texas had the lead at halftime when they were shooting that kind of percentage. That's a little bit remarkable. They'll need to continue to do the good work on the glass. Both these teams among the highest scoring in the league, so the pace we're on right now actually behind what they normally do.
Second chance points, huge for the Longhorns. A big advantage there. First half, Kansas had only 2 offensive rebounds. Langford had them both. Wayne Simeon playing with 3 fouls right now. Simeon only 4 points after a career-high 31 last night. Simeon has been over 20 points now 4 games in a row.
And they need to get him the basketball, need to get it done pretty soon. Big time battle going inside against James Thomas.
Simeon gets the ball. Won't go, and Pageant up over the back of Boddicker, and then a takedown. I think that was more Pageant losing his balance than anything else.
Well, that was Boddicker doing a great job at getting position. Texas does a good job of forcing Simeon away from the basket. Boddicker had that position and then just falling to the floor right there as Pageant reaches over the top. Kansas back in the matchup zone defense. Taylor and Boddicker are the long-range shooters on the floor now for the Longhorns. Tucker wide open the middle of the floor.
And Pageant with another foul. That's his 4th.
David Pageant, his 4th personal foul, team foul number 3.
Smaller players can still go against the taller guys if they've got the good body control and some strength. Now, Tucker, he's not intimidated about a 7-footer out there against him. You're going to go ahead and take the game right after him. Play the body, try to use your body to seal off the defender.
16 points, 12 rebounds for Tucker yesterday. 6 double-doubles on the year. Pageant's going to have to take a seat now with 4 fouls. And the winner of this one to face Oklahoma State in tomorrow's championship final. Tucker, 1 of 2 from the stripe. 3-point Texas lead. And more full court pressure by the Longhorns.
Texas used a lot of press last night, and press right here just forces another turnover. Giddens, once he crosses the timeline, need to look down the floor or to the middle of the floor. That's just Texas forcing Kansas to play a little faster than what they want to.
Well, over and back, Miles was not established in the front court. 11 turnovers for Bill Self's Jayhawks.
Simeon and Thomas matched up on the other end of the floor, just like they were when KU was on offense.
Graves on the floor for the rebound. He shuffles it over to Mr. Simeon. Giddens for 3. Graves goes for the rebound, but Thomas has got it.
Giddens got off to a good start in the ballgame for Kansas. He's been silent since.
Kenny Taylor, no. Long rebound, Moreno.
Boddicker hasn't gotten any touches for Texas here in the second half. He's a good long-range shooter. Kansas now in a man-to-man defense.
Graves again. I think his elbow was out of bounds. It was. And Texas will get it back with 11 to shoot it.
Returning for Texas, Michael Lee for Kansas.
Don't forget Kansas City hosting first and second round NCAA tournament action, and you can obviously go get tickets at either www.big12sports.com or the Kemper Arena box office. And you know Oklahoma State's going to be there, folks, and there's probably a good bet that one of these two teams will be there as well.
Big 12 fans have maybe been spoiled the last few years. Each of the last 4 seasons, a half a dozen teams have gotten in from this conference. Might be a stretch this year.
Bill Self out talking with Scott Thornley split. He's been having a rather lengthy discussion with him in midcourt. Oh, they reset the shot clock. That's what Bill Self was angry about. The shot clock had whittled down to 11. And Coach Self saying there really wasn't any possession by the Jayhawks, but the officials disagree, and so they reset the shot clock.
Officials ruled that Graves had possession before he got to the end line.
Moreno a bit out of control, lucky to get that back. Shot clock's at 11 again. Moreno swishes it home.
Pretty good possession for Texas right there. Got that second chance opportunity, cashed it in, and they stretched their lead to 5.
So Texas now with their biggest lead of the game as Edgar Moreno rings the bell. Under 12 to go. Back after this from your friends at Phillips 66.
Enjoys their biggest lead of the ball game, a 5-point advantage as we're at the 12-minute break in the second half. And one of the more entertaining matchups in this conference with post players is Wayne Simeon working against James Thomas. Strong physical players on the low block. Simeon will step out near the free throw line. Thomas is forced to come with him because over the last several weeks, Simeon has increased his range from inside the free throw line.
2 of 6 split. Remember, he had his first 2 in the game today. He's missed 4 in a row. Simeon with 14 opportunities to shoot it in last night's game. Only 6 so far tonight. Texas doing a good job bottling him up.
And Texas doing a good job with their press here this afternoon. This one the half-court variety.
Graves saving it, but he throws it out of bounds, and then Graves juggles with the photographers down there. So we've got another timeout. Texas with that 5-point lead. Is proud to be the presenting sponsor of Big 12 basketball. Be sure to stop by your local Phillips 66 station and fill up with quality Pro Clean gasoline. Only from Phillips 66, a performance brand. We are at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. The semifinals, the second one of the day, featuring Kansas and Texas. The winner of this game will meet Oklahoma State in tomorrow's championship final. Both teams shooting an identical percentage in the second half, but they've gotten there in a different way. Texas with twice as many shots.
Texas continuing that trend that they started in the first half, doing a better job on the glass. With players up front now for the Longhorns. Klotz back in there. He's been their biggest offensive presence in the paint here this afternoon.
Moreno with 5 to shoot it, and a whistle and a foul on Boddicker trying to get in front of Langford. Brian Boddicker, a guy who wears number 33, grew up a big fan of Larry Bird. You say, well, that's why he wears number 33. That's a good story, but it's not the whole truth. The reason he wears number 33, his dad, Jim, wore number 33 in high school. There is Larry Bird. Boy, watching Brian Boddicker, and if Boddicker knew Bird was in attendance, he'd be thrilled because he had all his posters up in his room growing up and all that. But Boddicker's dad, Jim, died of prostate cancer when he was only 7, and he knew that his dad wore number 33 in high school, so he said, when I play, I'm going to wear number 33. And Brian's older brother, Colin, who was 10 at the time their dad died, he became like their dad. And not just a big brother, but Brian credits Colin for really helping him grow up fast. Well, Langford at the line now, and again, Kansas might be able to come back in this game from the free throw line. 17 fouls on Texas this half. So Kansas with an opportunity to shoot some free throws. Ball goes off of Tucker. It'll stay with Kansas.
And Wayne Simeon, while he's not done much on the offensive end, keeps that ball alive, forces his way into the middle. Jayhawks will get it back.
Jayhawks looking for their first field goal in almost 6 minutes. Simeon. Nice up and under move, but the shot won't go. He's missed his last 5.
And he got the shot that he wanted. Good pump fake. He got a bigger player in the air. Buckman out of the way. Got to be able to hit the cripple, especially when you're playing catch up on the scoreboard. Langford out covering a point guard now defensively for the Jayhawks. Miles will give up some strength right there.
Lee with a rebound. No second chance there for the Longhorns.
Kansas really missed Michael Lee earlier this year. He was out with an injury, and Kansas went into a stretch where they lost some ball games. Didn't have much of an attack from long range.
Following Klotz is first, but again the Jayhawks will be shooting free throws.
First personal foul. Team foul number 8.
Kansas spreading the floor that time, looking inside to see what they could get going. They still want to get the ball in the hands of Wayne Simeon. They spread the floor, try to give themselves some room to work where they can get the entry pass.
So Simeon going to the line. Again, this is a 1-and-1 opportunity. Simeon close to 80% from the line this year. And swishes home 2 free throws. The Jayhawks, just like that, are within 2.
One of the disappointments and frustrations for Bill Self this year has been the defensive work of the Jayhawks. He feels that they need to come out and shut teams down. Haven't done as good a job of that throughout the course of the season as he had hoped. Kind of changing the defensive philosophy in Lawrence.
Ivy, nice spin move in the paint, but no on the basket, and Simeon with another board. Miles, coast to coast.
Talked about Miles earlier. Always on the attack, looking to push it in close and see what the defense gives it. And that time they gave him the driving lane. He took it all the way to the glass.
5 straight points for the Jayhawks. Whistle and a foul. Oh, no foul. Timeout taken by Rick Barnes. I heard a whistle. I thought there might have been a foul, but Rick Barnes wants to talk things over.
Well, Aaron Miles keeps his dribble alive. Royale Ivy hung up in the crowd right there. Nobody steps up to take that driving lane away, so there is no pass available for Miles. He'd rather pass first, shoot second. He ended up with the shot.
So you look inside that Kansas huddle. They've been able to come back. Couple free throws, 3 free throws, and then the Miles drive. Big 12 basketball brought to you in part by Whataburger. Just like you like it. Well, Split, you figured a game with 2 teams that both finished 12-4 in the conference would be exactly like this, tied at 45 with under 10 to go.
Kansas would really like to win this ball game, and they didn't like the way they played in Austin earlier this year. Kansas had kind of taken charge in this matchup over the last couple years. Both teams pretty well set with their positions in the conference tournament.
Kenny Taylor a 3. Langford, wow, did he sky for that rebound.
That's very similar to the shot that Taylor took in the first half that brought this ball game to a tie. Texas coming back from an 11-point deficit. Simeon wide open inside. The Jayhawks missed him from out front. Now he goes high-low with Graves. There's Graves.
Langford happened to be just standing right there. Well, that ball might have gone out of bounds. And another foul on Texas.
Kenny Taylor, his first personal foul.
First one on Taylor, and another 1-and-1 opportunity. This one for Langford. Langford 3 of 6 from the line today. Langford in double figures again. He's got 10. He's been in double figures now in 7 of the last 8. Off the heel, no good. A real battle for that rebound. Body's flying out of bounds.
Klotz coming down the floor limping for Texas. He just got back into the ballgame for UT. Texas thinks he's going to be a star next year. All the improvement that he has made this year, he's thrust himself into the starting lineup. I think he's going to be a star in this league by next season.
Good position, good basket. Klotz.
He's the most aggressive guy that they've got on the lower blocks on the offensive end. Loves to turn to his left shoulder, although he can turn and shoot either hand right now.
He's got a dozen, the leading scorer for Texas today. Zone now by the Longhorns. Simeon still can't find the range again.
Texas in that zone, Dave. Seems like a lot of schools in this conference are playing more zone this year than they have in past seasons.
Mouton, nice runner. Timeout, Kansas.
Kansas. Jayhawks returns for the Jayhawks.
So Brandon Mouton, a guy who always seems to step up at the right time. Over 1,500 career points now for this senior.
And Texas an answer to the 5-0 Kansas run. They've scored the last 4 consecutive points.
Well, we talked earlier today about the inside strength of, certainly with Simeon. Yesterday, it was Simeon with 31, Mouton with 16. Big points, though, for the Longhorns in the late stages against Oklahoma. Simeon started off hitting his first 2 shots here today's split, and he's missed 6 in a row.
Well, it's the guard's responsibility to get Simeon the basketball. He's working hard inside, so they can control what Simeon will do the rest of the way. If this ball game comes down to the last possession, I think you look for Mouton to handle it for Texas. Simeon probably needs to get a touch for Kansas.
And you think maybe one of the reasons Simeon is missing a few shots, the Longhorns doing a good job of pushing him just that much farther away from the basket. Giddens looking for a 3. Graves was there to gather in the air ball.
And that's not an easy rebound to gather in. You've got a 3-point shot going up with no contact. That ball ends up in your chest pretty quickly. Good soft hands right there by Graves to control it.
Royale
Ivy picks up his 4th foul. Depth might become a factor for the Longhorns here. They're starting to add up on the Longhorns.
And Royale Ivy says, no, I don't want to come out of the ball game. I'll go ahead and play with 4 fouls. I can do this.
I had a feeling the coach was going to have something to say about that. Well, he could not convince Coach Barnes to leave him in the game. And Edgar Moreno will take his spot.
Probably a good decision by Rick Barnes right there. 7.5 minutes left in this one. That's a long time to ask a guy to play with 4 fouls.
And you look at Kansas. They're staying in this game largely due to their free throw shooting. Simeon with a good offensive board.
And Texas allows that to happen. Need to seal him off so he can't cross the lane. Second time just in the last 4 or 5 minutes that Simeon has been able to go from one side of the lane to the other after the free throw.
Graves, no, couldn't finish. Stripped away from Boddicker. It'll stay with Texas. We've got a timeout. 7:20 to go in a 3-point contest. Bill Self will hitch up his drawers and go back to work in that Kansas huddle. And we're back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Longhorn fan wondering if his Texas team can hang on against Kansas. 7:20 to go and split. We're talking about fouls in this game, and they're starting to add up for both these teams, but most particularly Texas. Ivy and Mouton, that's got to be a big concern because those are your game breakers late in the contest.
Well, Dave, you're inside the 8-minute mark, so 3 fouls, while you want to keep an eye on it, not a huge problem, but the guys with 4, David Padgett's been on the bench for a long time. Royale Ivy could be there quite a bit longer for Texas. Brandon Mouton becomes very important. David Padgett, he'd like to get back in there, but it might be a while for KU.
I think of Mouton and Ivy split. Mouton, a guy who came up large at Texas Tech, hit a big 3 to send it into overtime, and the Longhorns won that game. And Ivy with some game winners against Nebraska and Missouri.
And Boddicker has struggled from 3-point land recently. No need to take that deep 3 right there. You can get that shot anytime in the possession. It was still pretty early for UT.
Whistle and a foul. This one on Graves. So Graves, only his second. It's only the 4th team foul on Kansas, and again Texas over the big limit. They have 10 team fouls this half.
Moreno's done a nice job of handling the basketball up front here this afternoon for Texas.
Klotz, that won't go. Simeon, well, he just took that away from Boddicker.
Texas continue to go with that 2-3 zone defense. Simeon working hard against Jason Klotz inside.
Graves throws it away. Marino picks it off. Mouton.
Explosive move by Brandon Mouton right there. Giddens had stepped up to try to slap that shot away, but Mouton strong to the rim. Turnover, steals out front, almost always turned into transition baskets at the other end.
14 turnovers for the Jayhawks. Miles for 3, and that gets the Kansas faithful up on their feet.
Aaron Miles seems to have a good feel for the basketball game and not afraid to step up and take an important shot for Kansas.
He has hit so many big shots for KU in his career. You think of shots he's hit in Columbia, shots he's hit all over the world almost for the Jayhawks.
And he's still trying to shake that tag of a point guard who's not a good shooter.
This one poked out of bounds, I believe, by Graves. Yeah, it was, and Texas will get it back. Shot clock should not reset, and it is at 12 right now. That was an air ball thrown up by Mouton.
David Padgett back on the floor for the Jayhawks. He's out there with 4 fouls, working against Klotz. Klotz ought to get a touch right here.
Mouton, though, takes a 3. He airballs the 2 and then nails the 3.
He was having a poor shooting night here last night, shooting about 25% when he took it down the lane on the final Texas possession. Cashed that one in, got the basket, and also picked up the free throw.
And the chant of "Moo" goes up from the Longhorn crowd. Padgett wasn't quite ready to accept the pass, and the 15th turnover for the Jayhawks.
And that's Moreno crashing through the line, quicker to the ball. And Mouton again.
What did we tell you about Mouton stepping up when the Longhorns need him most? He has just scored the last 10 points for Texas.
And the last 2 from long range. Looking in at the defense, stepping over a pick. He buried that one. Texas on a roll right now. This is the consistency and the good shooting that they had been looking for. Mouton wide open again, got the pass from Boddicker. Either one of those guys could have taken the 3-point shot.
Transition defense has been troublesome for KU today. And as you look in that Texas huddle now, with his 8-point advantage, the 4:40 mark, Rick Barnes was able to turn this game around. Got the thing up tempo early, and now with Brandon Mouton, this senior is really stepping up. Mouton today with 18 points. He has moved into 8th place on the Texas Longhorn scoring charts.
And Mouton today has his shooting up near the 50% mark. Texas finding themselves in a position right now that Oklahoma was in last night against UT. It's the Jayhawks. They're going to have to play catch up. Token pressure, half court for the Longhorns. Giddens been quiet a long time for KU.
Foul on Boddicker. That's 4 on Brian Boddicker, and again Simeon will be going to the line. Let's take a look at our assist leaders, brought to you by Cargill. Collaborate, create, and succeed. Langford leading the way today for KU with 4, and Ivy with a couple of assists. Miles, in case you're wondering, has 3 assists today. And Simeon, guy who couldn't miss last night. You think of Kansas assists today, only 7, and they normally have 17.6 per game. And the big reason I think for that is the big guys haven't been scoring. Normally you get that ball into this guy, the big dub, and it's an automatic 2.
Kansas would like to change some things defensively to try to take some things away from Texas. They'll line it up now man-to-man. They don't press a whole lot.
Miles with a steal. Mouton with a block. Langford with a follow.
That trailer is so important in college basketball because virtually every shot that goes up is challenged. Langford able to pick up the rebound that time and stick it right back in.
You don't assume anything, do you? You don't assume that guy's going to make that layup. You run the court.
Well, in this conference, everything is challenged. Maybe there's some other conferences that are different.
David Pageant has just picked up the foul, and that will do it. David Pageant has just fouled out of this contest. Bill Self wants to bring the entire team over and use this as sort of a mini timeout. He's yelling at his team saying, get over here.
He has some time to make the substitution, so you use it as though it's a timeout. He knows who he wants to put back into the basketball game. This is an opportunity to call your guys over, one, give them a breather, and talk about what you want to do.
So we're going to use this as a timeout now, and we'll be back to Dallas. Longhorns trying to beat the Jayhawks for the second time this year, leading right now by 5, under 4 minutes to go in the contest. David Pageant fouling out right before the timeout. So he's the first one to leave this game. I don't think he'll be the last, but a few other guys foul out of the game as well. Boy, the big guys today here split. I mean all the big guys from Texas. We're going to make them our super retired defensive players of the game, holding Wayne Simeon down today.
And Rick Barnes doing a good job of using his depth and his rotation. Try to keep fresh bodies in there. Of course, Wayne Simeon on the bench. Part of that first half in some foul trouble, but he hasn't been all that visible here in the second half either, and you have to tip your hat to the Texas defense.
3 points in the second half for Simeon. He does have 10 rebounds, Wayne Simeon.
Kansas now in the zone defense after the timeout. Now they shift back into a man-to-man.
Royale Ivy out there with 4 fouls.
They'll want to be cautious on the offensive end. Stay out of a situation where he's going to be called for a charge, taking it into traffic, and that's a big part of his game. But Texas with the lead right now can be patient.
Ivy can't get it to go. Rebound Thomas, and a fresh 35. Mouton thought about the 3.
And as well as he has been shooting it over the last couple minutes, that takes some heads-up play to go ahead and pass on that shot just to kill some more clock.
Scoring the last 10 points, Mouton for the Longhorns. Graves able to save that rebound. And then Miles is fouled by Mouton, who has just picked up his 4th.
That really hurts Texas, and Rick Barnes knows, because those are the 2 players that he has on the floor that have the ability to drive it to the rack. Mouton plays one side, Ivy plays the other side. His 2 most athletic offensive players.
And the 2 gutsiest, I think, because they're the ones that have the ball in the closing moments. Kansas trying to capitalize at the free throw line, but having trouble doing that. Only 14 of 24 today. Miles just 2 of 5.
And a lot of that damage or opportunities gone awry have happened here in the second half.
Another miss. Back-to-back misses by Miles at the line. Taylor. Count it, and he's fouled. Taylor snuck down court, didn't he?
And Texas ran the sideline break. Took it down the near sideline. Long passes. Kenny Taylor leading the pack. Ivy with the look. Taylor normally working out on the perimeter, but saw a lane to the basket. He took it all the way in.
Kenny Taylor with 8 points, trying to make it 9. He does, and back to an 8-point advantage, matching the biggest of the game for the Longhorns.
Still plenty of time left for the Jayhawks, but they don't have much margin of an error right now. Possession game for KU. They need to score every time down.
Giddens for 3. Miles tracks down the rebound. Langford. He's fouled. Count it. Klotz with the foul. That's the second on Jason Klotz.
How about the play by Langford, taking it into the lane right there, and in the face of Jason Klotz, who's out there at 6'9". Terrific body control by Langford on the pull-up jumper. Over the outstretched hands, it's pure, and he'll have a free throw.
Boy, that one just hung on the rim for the longest of times. And now a tie-up, and the arrow will give the ball back to Kansas. I just think it's split. This game is going to prepare both of these teams so well for the NCAA tournament.
Well, you want to play a quality opponent tough down the stretch to where your last couple possessions are going to be key to the outcome. You're right, that ball stayed on the rim a long time. There's a big-time battle going on the floor.
It looked like it was suspended in midair there for a while.
Starts out as a missed opportunity for KU, but might be a good opportunity. They got a chance at another free possession right here. Giddens just missed a shot from that portion of the floor. Texas in the zone.
Langford open for three. Graves. That's a 4-point possession for the Jayhawks.
KU had both inside rebounding positions that time. 3-point shot came off soft right next to the basket.
4-point game, 2 minutes to go.
Ivy and Mouton both on the floor for Texas. Forget about foul trouble right now. Got to have a key possession. Mouton against Giddens.
Taylor throws up a shot that doesn't go. Langford has another rebound. Simeon, he's fouled. Would have counted had it gone.
Good stop by Kansas on the defensive end. Giddens setting up Simeon coming down the middle of the lane. Used his body, tried to put it up with the left hand. He'll get a couple charity tosses.
Simeon today 3 of 4 from the line. 7 points, 10 rebounds. This to make it a 2-point game. And it does. 6 unanswered points for the Jayhawks.
And Dave, you talk about how this game will help both these teams for next week. Gives them an opportunity to play under the same conditions where you have to bounce back very quickly to take on a quality opponent.
Absolutely.
Let's see who plays the best down the stretch in the last minute and a half. Teams know each other well.
Klotz, great feed from Ivy. Royal Ivy created that.
Oh, so quick on the drive. That first step, gone like a flash, headed down the lane.
Langford can hit the 3. Simeon in a crowd fighting for the rebound with Boddicker and Mouton. It'll stay with Kansas.
Well, Texas, you talk about key possessions late in the game. Ivy beats Miles out front and then dishes off the backhanded pass to Klotz. Simeon looking inside for Graves. Can't get him the ball. Giddens is open in the far corner.
Whistle. And a timeout taken by Bill Self. So 62-58, Kansas with the ball. 26.4 seconds remaining. The Jayhawks trying to come back from a 4-point deficit.
This ESPN Plus game is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of the 2004 Phillips 66 Big 12 basketball tournament. You can count on Phillips 66 quality Pro Clean gasoline. Cooper Tire, proud to be the official tire of the Big 12 Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing. Shelter Insurance, for your insurance needs, visit shelterinsurance.com to find the shelter agent near you. Seek shelter today. Infinity, makers of the full-size QX56. Whataburger, just like you like it. Isuzu, spin less, go farther with a full line of value-priced SUVs from Isuzu.
Well, Texas trying to hang on. It would have been a very spirited game. Kansas now out of timeouts, but only 6 fouls on the Jayhawks. They have the ball on offense, and with that 6 fouls, that's key right now, Split, because they can foul Texas, and they'll be shooting 1-and-1, the Longhorns.
And they have to hope they can make this a free throw shooting contest the rest of the way. They have not shot well from their line here in the second half.
Let's make Brandon Mouton our Phillips 66 player of the game. 18 points, but 10 of them coming in a stretch when the Longhorns pulled away a little bit.
2-possession ball game for the Jayhawks. They don't need a 3-point basket right here. They just need points, and they need them in a hurry.
Langford had it poked away by Ivy.
Texas needs to stay away from the foul. Keep that shot winding down.
Giddens short. Graves was right there. And a quick foul. Ivy will go to the line again. This will be 1-and-1. Royale Ivy will be going to the line for the first time here today, and Ivy only a 57% free throw shooter.
Tough to keep him on the floor in late game situations when you're shooting less than 60%. Great to have him on the offensive end because he creates, but he is the likely candidate to get fouled.
Ivy with a big free throw there. The next one can make it a 2-possession game again. Royale Ivy with game winners against Missouri and Nebraska. Might have iced it there. 14 seconds to go. Texas takes a timeout.
Timeout, Texas.
Well, time now for our Cialis memorable moment, and certainly the threes by Brandon Mouton were really tough on Kansas today.
Dave, that was a stretch where Mouton collected 10 straight points for the Longhorns, including back-to-back threes. So Brandon Mouton, a difference maker here late in the second half.
So Rick Barnes instructing his crew to finish this off, finish what they started. Coming back from an 11-point deficit, the winner of this game to take on Oklahoma State for the Big 12 Tournament Championship tomorrow. The Cowboys, who won the regular season title, will try to double up and win the tourney title as well tomorrow in a game you can see on ESPN at 2 o'clock Central Time.
Oklahoma State blew out Kansas in league play on their home floor. They swept the 2 games against the Longhorns.
Well, Kansas, they've got to be in a hurry. 14.1 seconds remaining.
And Texas will show some 3/4 court pressure just to slow down the Jayhawks. Got to hustle into the offensive end. Any kind of a shot will do.
Miles loses the handle. Tucker. Texas will try to play keep away, and they will. The Longhorns beat the Jayhawks 2 times this year. Good comeback by Texas today to erase an 11-point deficit, really bottle up Wayne Simeon, and Texas wins it by 4.
Well, Texas did a great job defensively taking Simeon out of the ballgame. Got just enough shooting. Their shooting improved the second half. They might have built the confidence that they were looking for with today's win.
Well, it'll be like an orange grove in here tomorrow. Lots of orange, burnt orange, all shades of orange, as the Cowboys and the Longhorns will play for the tournament championship at 2 o'clock tomorrow on ESPN. Well, Split, it's been a great tournament so far, and I expect tomorrow's finale between the number 1 and 2 seeds to be just as scintillating.
Well, the guys put on a great show for their fans here in Dallas this weekend. Now you hope that the Big 12 teams can get into the NCAA and have a great run over the next couple of weeks.
Well, you think of what has transpired here with the top seeds for the most part advancing. Great semifinal Saturday here today. Two really good games.
Well, the Big 12 has gotten 4 into the Sweet 16, 3 into the Final 8, 2 into the Final 4 each of the last 2 years.
So for Paul Splittar, I'm Dave Armstrong saying so long from Dallas, Texas. You've been watching Big 12 tournament action on ESPN+.